Man, we just had ourselves a weekend when it comes to soccer. The Premier League kicked off. Neymar became the latest player to get the bag to play out in Saudi Arabia. And, of course, the Women's World Cup is down to the semifinals. I got my boy, Christian Polanco. He's one half of the Soccer Cooligans duo, and he's also a comedian. So when he's telling jokes about who's not playing well, like, you're going to understand what he's saying. And he's here to talk all things the beautiful game. Christian, what's happening, my guy?
Thank you so much for having me. Absolute honor.
Let's get straight into this, because we had another weekend where the Premier League kicks off. Expectations are high, and of course, City won to start off again. So
here we go again.
Here we go again. Which team showed you that they had the best chance of finishing in the top four?
This weekend, obviously, you know, Manchester City is always there.
Always.
You see, after winning the treble, and you saw that moment at halftime, after Erling Haaland scores 2 goals, Pep Guardiola is yelling at his best player, Erling Haaland, like he's not bringing enough. Where it's like, bro, what more can I do?
What more do you want me to do, man?
So clearly the standard is nothing but excellence there. So Manchester City looked great. Arsenal looked great. Newcastle looked great. A huge 5-1 win. And now, who's going to be the fourth? I mean, this is, we haven't seen Manchester United play
as of right now
when we're recording this. I still think they can do it, but Brighton, I think, has a...
Brighton?
Brighton are always, you know, you expect kind of the last couple of years, like Europa League, but I think now this year, after selling, obviously, the money after selling Moises Caicedo, I think they're going to make great moves. They have a great academy. They always bring up great players that you never heard of.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, it's just good business, right? So Brighton and Manchester United, I think, might be the...
So Brighton's that soccer factory out in the Premier League.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how they figured it out, because they got promoted just a couple years ago, but they've just have a great system in place, and it's just every single player that plays on the team, and even if they switch coaches, they always find a way to play the football that their brand of football that is always successful. But Brighton, I'm expecting a lot this year.
Well, you didn't say Chelsea.
I did not.
You did not say Chelsea, and I was going to stop the interview and just tell you to go home, but, you know, it is what it is. You are the expert on here, so we're talking to you. So let's flip it. Which teams were your biggest letdowns?
Letdowns this weekend, Everton Football Club. I'm an Everton fan.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I mean, every week is kind of a letdown, but Everton really looked so much better than Fulham, and it's just so... a disappointing way to start the season when you just have great opportunities, especially for their forwards, and they just can't get it done. There's just something, I don't know what it is, if it's psychologically, they just always, at the end of the season, the last 2 seasons, they've waited basically to the end to stay up. I'm hoping they don't do that again, but that was really one of the biggest disappointments.
You also mentioned Luton Town. Yeah,
Luton Town, obviously, the teams that get promoted, especially Luton Town, have a fascinating story. You just sort of expect the teams that are there for the first time in a long time to probably get relegated. They did lose this weekend. I don't have huge expectations for them, but yeah, I can see them as being one of the teams to go down again.
I actually follow them on Twitter or on X.
Okay,
so, doesn't look like it's going to be that long.
Why do we have to do this?
We have to throw the X every time. every time. Look like Dennis Bryant when it comes to the Cowboys receiver. It just goes with it. That's proper branding. All right, a lot went down in terms of just soccer news globally. Is there any breaking news or any new trending news that we should keep our eye on?
I think this Neymar move from PSG to obviously playing in the Saudi League. This is it's a strange thing, right? Because he is a player, especially at PSG, that has just kind of not underperformed is not the exact word, but just underdelivered. They didn't deliver the trophies that the club really wanted. And then these last couple years, you could tell they've kind of just wanted him gone. I mean, it hasn't worked out the way they wanted to. Even they brought in Messi at PSG, and it didn't liven up the team like the way they expected to. So, and he always kind of deals with an injury, always conveniently around the time of his sister's birthday. He always has a big party, and he's always injured just around. It always conveniently always happens. Anyway, but now they get him off the books, and you know that Saudi money is real,
man.
And they're cleaning up a lot of the accounting for a lot of these European clubs. They're like, yo, we need to fix something. They're like, yo, let's call the homies out in Saudi Arabia.
He was also linked to NYCFC though.
Yeah, I love that rumor. I think NYCFC have been a club that have not done these big splashes in the transfer market, like when the club started. So just having that name around, you start thinking like, yo, does David Lee, the sporting director, is he actually like really trying to do something wild here? Yeah. And I could have seen it happening, but definitely the ethos of the club now is like built through the academy. Try to find these rare gems in South America, and it worked, right? Because we won an MLS Cup because of it.
Yeah, I mean, and you think about what NYCFC is doing, building the new stadium out there in Queens. Messi could have paid some bills. I mean, not Messi, Neymar could have paid some bills.
Oh, without a doubt.
Could have paid some bills.
Plenty of Brazilians out in New York.
For real. So let's move on to the Women's World Cup, man. It has been a very exciting Women's World Cup. Obviously, the U.S. women's national team lost. We don't even need to get into that. We're down to the semifinal. We've got Sweden, Spain tomorrow morning at, I believe, like 4 a.m.
Yeah, something like that. Really, I've been waking up for these. Not easy when you also have a 4-month-old at home.
Bottles and soccer, just like that. And then we also got England, Australia.
Yeah.
Who advances?
This is great. I honestly think with the way Australia has been playing, this is probably the biggest story of this World Cup. We've been doing the Cooligans Women's World Cup daily. We've been covering these matches every single day. And Australia, the story is incredible because it's not a deep roster per se, but a lot of the players are playing in Europe, and it's also a huge sign that, NWSL and American women's soccer was kind of dominant in the world, and now Europe is catching up. The clubs like Chelsea have a huge investment in their women's team, and we're starting to see some of those players play in this World Cup. But Australia, I think they can pull the upset.
They can beat the Lionesses.
And I think the final is going to be Australia-Spain, which I think would be, a lot of the U.S. women's national team players, especially after getting bounced out much early in the tournament that they expected, I've heard a lot of them being like, anybody but England. They don't want England to win. That's how deep the rivalry is.
Dang, that's not even hating right there. That's just how it is. That's just the competition level it is when it comes to just all sports. I don't care who wins. Not my enemy.
Right.
Not my enemy.
The level, and now the level of not only quality but the competitiveness is just at its peak at this World Cup. Because look, I mean, the U.S. women. Even though they kind of stumbled into the tournament, they didn't really dominate. They lost to England, they lost to Spain in friendlies before the World Cup, and people were like, nah, they'll figure it out. When they get there, it's a different, it's a different scenario, and it was not. You're seeing that the rest of the world is catching up. The players are playing with incredible quality, they're incredibly technical, and then they also tactically know how to limit the U.S. because the U.S. usually faster, stronger. The players are definitely better, but they're not always the better team. And then a lot of the other countries figure that out.
Makes sense, man. Tell the people where they can find you.
At Soccer Cooligans on all social channels. We do. Right now we're doing Women's World Cup daily. After that, we're going to go back to regularly scheduled programming. We do 2 podcasts a week. We're on the Levitard and Friends Network. My name is Christian Polanco. I'm also a stand-up comic. Follow me at Chris Polanco on X. Let's go. If you want to see me do some stand-up. So that's about it, bro.
Appreciate you coming out, man.
Anytime, brother. Thank you so much.